about the fact that we'll talk about some New Jersey stuff in a second, but I want to talk about, this whole thing with Bethenny, because listen, you have gone, you had an NDA with Tiger and, that lasted forever. And you've been beat through the system with NDAs. This whole thing of like Bethenny's lawyers, Mark Garagos and Brian Friedman, made a play, and now NBC has responded. I think both sides so far are handling this so smart. Like they're saying, we want you to voluntarily, Bravo, let people out of their NDAs. And you and I kind of fought about this off air, can fight about it on air now, saying that like an NDA, the point of it is like, if you're working for Kim Kardashian, you're her assistant, you can't interview her new idea for Skims, which is coming next week. You can't like let that out. You can't let out what's going on. But if you witness, sexual improprieties or hazing, or you're spoken to a certain way, or it's an abusive work environment, that really is outside the scope of what an NDA is intended. There's also, in this point, a California law which says you cannot sign away your rights to stay quiet on these issues. So I thought that was brilliant. And now and I'll let you speak in a minute for all your, and then NBC, because then I have another point. NBC has responded and said, well, when did we say we're holding people to these? We would never want someone to not report, these improprieties, and we encourage people. It's a great response, and they're both sides, I think, have been great so far. So what would you like to say about that?
Well, NBC has historically supported people that feel abused. I mean, during the Me Too era, which wasn't so long ago, men were let go, prominent men from ABC, for being accused.
ABC or NBC?
ABC, and all the networks really.
Okay.
People and it didn't even go to a trial. It was just things that they heard, and people were out. I mean, do you remember how many people were fired or canceled or whatever for things that happened during the Me Too movement? So when I say NBC, I'm not talking about Bravo. I'm talking about the news networks, anywhere where, I mean, people were let go without a trial being held. It was really internal trials, sort of, right? Internal investigations is what you call them. And then they were let go. So they take, companies take this Me Too seriously. They take abuse seriously. They take verbal abuse, sexual abuse. They are very good with that. Now, I will say about NDAs. I would say that I'm an elder stateswoman about NDAs. I know all about them. I'm not going to get into mine and the ones that I've been privy to, but I will say that I know all about them. So I will say that some of them are written in a way you cannot say a word about anything. So there are, and you will be held accountable. So there are NDAs that are written that way. Clearly the ones that were written for NBC, and if they weren't written that way, NBC is now saying, listen, if there was something you witnessed, come forward, you could break your NDA on that. You can't give proprietary information. However, if anyone is going to break an NDA, they better be prepared with some real facts about what they're going to come forward with. And I think that is now what's going to make a lot of people pause about, well, what facts do I really have? What did I witness, or what did I do that really falls under the category of abuse, sexual, verbal, physical, whatever. So I think that before people can make some very, profound statements about what they witnessed or went through, they're going to have some serious evidence, or, they're going to be in trouble for breaking an NDA for no cause. And then they could get sued back again. Do you know what I'm saying? They can get sued for breaking an NDA for something that didn't exist. So I think that's what makes it really, it's like people need to be trepidatious or whatever about how they're going to move forward if they really have an accusation. Like this accusation going around with the Raquel sex tape or whatever it was, the video. I actually, in my personal opinion, I don't know.
Ariana just spoke out about this, but go on.
I know, but I don't, she's covering her ass there, in my opinion. This girl was the one that made it not visible, but she verbally talked about it. And that, our awareness of it came from her accusing Raquel. It was all in the news. People knew all about it. And then it was on their episode, right? I mean, she talked about it. Am I correct?
What, on the Vanderpump Rules or on
Yeah,
like a podcast?
yeah. On the,
No,
well,
it
both.
was never like,
No,
well, it's
not
been
the actual, not the actual video, but her addressing it, talking about it, saying that there was a video.
I don't think it was, listen, it all blends together for me.
Okay.
I mean, everyone will
So
come
the
at
whole thing
me.
that I want people to remember is it's a whole separate thing that Tom taped it. That's a whole separate thing. But what I'm talking about is it was taped without her consent. Okay. But what wasn't, a whole nother issue.
And you heard though that Ariana saying, "Oh, I never sent it out." You heard this, right?
I did hear her say that.
Yeah,
But
I'm just asking. I mean, it's just
but that's what
public,
he
yeah.
said, she said, because
Totally.
Raquel said it was sent out.
Right.
And if other people have seen it, and listen, let's all stop and think for a second. If you found a video like that on your boyfriend's phone, wouldn't you immediately send it to yourself so you could give him his phone back and not look like you needed to look at his phone for the information? I would send it to myself, and then I would show my friends and be like, can you believe this? Can you, are you seeing this? If you ask like all the people on the cast, if they've seen the videotape, are they going to say no? Really? They're all going to say they didn't see it? I doubt it.
Well, when you're on a stand and your hand is raised and you could be in contempt of court, you better not fucking say no if you saw it. That's my advice to Lala and all her friends.
Right.
Go
But
on.
whose responsibility is that? It's Adriana's. I get her name wrong every time. What is it? Ariana. So it's Ariana's responsibility if she disseminated it to people. Tom is responsible for taping it, but that's a whole nother saga. And, I don't know that that's something that you're going to, I think that's a whole different issue. I think having it come public is her issue. Tom did not put that out there. He tape recorded it for his own viewing pleasure, and it was
Do you
not
think
about
there'll be a
him.
lawsuit? Because I mean, I would sue if I were Raquel. That's just me. Like, I would be pissed off and I would just sue. That's what I would do.
I think Bethenny will convince her to sue, but I think she will be doing it. I think she's suing the wrong person if she sues Bravo. I think that she should be suing Ariana.
You know what I want to ask you about Bethenny? Because I have a theory. I mean, I heard something, but it's very unconfirmed. Do you think, I mean, because, I know Bethenny says I'll never reveal, just like, hey, Bethenny, I understand what you're going through. Bethenny says she will never, ever reveal what she paid Raquel, how much she paid Raquel, if she paid Raquel, but she's like, trust me, I've got it under control. Do you think in any world that Bethenny is going to give Raquel a job in the Bethenny Army organization?
No, I don't think she'll give her a job, but she might help her get some sort of a show or some sort of I think she will help her I think she'll help her start her podcast. Remember, she talks about wanting to do a podcast, and Bethenny said, let's talk after this. Like, I think that she will help with that, because Bethenny has a podcast. Why wouldn't she help her? I think she'll help her, figure out how to start her platform. And